Please take your seats so we can begin our program, if you would. Thank you very much.
Well, good evening, everybody. So nice to see everybody out on this gorgeous, gorgeous day. Thank you so much for accommodating the fact that we needed to move the cocktail party inside. We thought it was a little bit warm outside, but I think it worked out much better inside. My name is Jennifer Lee, and I'm the chapter president of the North Florida chapter of the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. I've served in this organization for almost 20 years and am absolutely thrilled and honored to be here among all of you tonight. This is actually a first-time kind of event for us here in Gainesville, and I can understand, and I've only spent about 3 minutes with Mr. Patrick, but can also honestly understand why so many people love him so much. On behalf of the 18,000 North Floridians who live with or have multiple sclerosis, it is so exciting to see so many new faces involved in this organization. I certainly recognize that most of you, or perhaps all of you here tonight, are here to pay tribute to this amazing individual and Chris Patrick, but I want you to know that along with doing that, you are really making a difference in the lives of the thousands of North Floridians and are helping to bring us closer to a world free of MS. I myself am an alumni of this wonderful university, and I was so excited when our volunteer Jim Mackey came to us with the idea of doing a dinner to honor Chris Patrick. Clearly, Chris has been a significant or had a significant influence on the lives of so many people, just as this university had on my own life. And so I was very excited to participate in such a great event. The National MS Society is committed to making a difference in the lives of many people, increasing their quality of life for those who deal with the unpredictability of the disease and bringing awareness to those who want to join us in that effort, not unlike our very special honoree this evening. Just as Chris has touched your lives, you have touched the lives of many by your support. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I hope that you enjoy the evening. And now it is my pleasure to introduce this evening's Master of Ceremonies. Jerry Ray is a retired athletic trainer who spent the 70s, 80s, and 90s working with the Atlanta Falcons. He is a graduate of Texas A&M and spent his entire career in sports, working in various arenas, including as a high school trainer in Odessa for 8 years, the LA Rams, and the Olympic Summer Games in Atlanta. He has received numerous awards and honors, and we are thrilled to have him here tonight to pay tribute to his friend, Chris Patrick. When we asked Jerry about his relationship with Chris, specifically, his reply was, quote, "We have been friends for a long time, and I trust CP as much as I trust anyone I know. Our involvement has been through athletic training, but the friendship goes back at least that far." So please welcome Jerry Ray.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you for the welcome and for the remarks. It's indeed an honor and a privilege to be here at this gala to honor our friend Chris Patrick for his 40 years of service to the Gator Nation. I know we're going to have a wonderful evening, a wonderful tribute to Chris, and hopefully some really good stories. Yeah, Chris and I go back 42 years to be exact. I first met Chris when he was the head athletic trainer at Mississippi State University, and I was an assistant trainer with the Los Angeles Rams. We had a player living in Starkville, and I came to see that player, and he took me to see Chris and some of the coaches there. And I'd heard about him. We've always heard about Chris, but I'd never met him. A year later, we moved to Atlanta to join the Atlanta Falcons, and because we were all in the Southeast, Chris was at Kentucky at the time and then moved here. We were in a lot of meetings together, and I learned to know him more as a professional colleague. But more importantly, I learned to know him as a friend. And as she said, he's one of the most trusted friends I've ever known. I called him a lot of times for advice. I don't know of anyone more honest. And if you know Chris, you know he'll tell you what he thinks. And so I didn't have to ask twice. Now I'd like to bring up Kevin Corky Calhoun to present our invocation. Corky was someone that Chris plucked out of El Paso, Texas, actually, he tells me, and he's never gone back. He served as a student trainer under Chris between 1978 and 1983. Then he spent 17 years as an owner and operator of a sports medicine clinic here in Melbourne, Florida. He's now in his 12th year of ministry as a local church pastor. He credits Chris with being the father figure that he never had. Corky now is a senior pastor at Georgiana United Methodist Church in Merritt Island, Florida. Please come and give our invocation, Corky.
Thank you, Jerry. It's a bit overwhelming. It's an old story that you can't go into ministry till all your college roommates are dead. And they're all in this room. Bringing my children tonight was a mistake, I think. So we're hoping to get out of the room tonight with my ministry intact. I just want to take a minute. I got recruited out of Florida to come work on Chris's staff as a student, and I had never met Chris. Chris in Florida had come to the Sun Bowl, but I had worked the Texas A&M sideline. I don't know that I ever told you that, but I'd never seen him, only spoke to him on the phone. And if you ever spoke to Chris over the phone, I was worried that he might die before I got here. And so I'm so tickled to death that both you and I got through all of that. So what I want to say tonight is that everything that I knew about athletic training, I learned from Chris Patrick. But more importantly, everything that I learned about being a better minister, I learned from Chris Patrick. And I think that's part of the reason that we're in the room tonight. And I won't take up too much of our time. I'll take a moment and celebrate God and what He's given us tonight. Won't you pray with me? Gracious and loving God, we come to you tonight with a sense of thanksgiving that you saw fit to place Chris in our life. The ripple effect of this single life has literally influenced thousands of men and women to seek greatness. He has been the great oak of character and integrity in whose shade we have all sat. We celebrate tonight a man who has sacrificed so that others might have, so that others might be blessed. Never have I met a more selfless man. Each of us who gather here tonight have been shaped by Chris, cared for by Chris, covered by Chris, and loved by Chris. His fingerprints are all over our hearts. So, Father, tonight we pray that we would all have a sense of responsibility to continue the good work that He has begun in us and the time He has shared with us. So, God, we thank you tonight for the gift of this great man. May tonight be a small measure of tremendous blessing to reflect the overwhelming blessing He's been to all of us. So, God, we ask your favor on our celebration. We ask your blessing on our meal. We ask kindness for our servers. And all of God's people agreed by saying, amen.
Enjoy your meal. We'll start our program in a little bit. For your attention, you continue to eat and enjoy your meal, but we're going to go ahead and start with our program. I'd like to introduce the head table to you. To my right at the far end are co-chairman of the dinner, Dr. Nick Cassisi and his wife Elaine. Next to them, Marty Hugel and his wife Carol. To my left, your right, of course, is the honoree of the night, Chris Patrick with his wife Rita, and Jim Mackey and his wife Debbie. Also, other people we need to recognize are the ones that made all this happen, and it didn't just happen. I'd like to recognize these people, like Jennifer Lee, Corinna Steiger, and the entire staff of the North Florida chapter of the MS Society for coordinating tonight's event. Also, Dr. Patty Tripp and Duke Warner for coordinating the educational program that we enjoyed this morning over at the Women's Center, as well as the speakers and the sponsors. And finally, I'd like to thank Marty Hugel, Dr. Cassini, and the dinner committee, and the University Athletic Association for their work in helping make this night so special and success in honoring Chris, while supporting those living with MS. Please, would all of you that I named stand and be recognized so we can see you, please. And now I'd like to bring up Jim Mackey, who's going to tell us his story of living with MS and how Chris has impacted his life. Jim began as a student trainer here with Chris in 1972, and he joined Chris's staff full-time after graduate school at Eastern Kentucky from 75 to 88. After 4 years in the Boston area, Jim returned to Jacksonville, Florida, working in the clinical and outreach high school programs as an athletic trainer. Jim credits Chris with encouraging him into several leadership positions within our athletic training profession and supporting him personally with the challenges that he saw with MS. Chris has continued to be a mentor and a friend for over 38 years. Please, Jim, come tell us your story.
Thank you for being here tonight to honor Chris Patrick. It's been a genuine privilege to assist a very talented and dedicated group of people to bring this evening together. It is great to see so many friends and to share some wonderful memories and make some new memories too, because this part of the Gator Nation is a very special part of each one of our lives. I first met Chris when I came to UF in 1971 as a junior, and let's just say it was after repeated requests to become a student athletic trainer. I was finally invited to a tryout. My hair was too long, I dropped the wrong names, and probably gave a less than favorable presentation, and Bobby Barton was there to witness it all. I finally had the opportunity beginning in the fall of 1972 and joined Chris's staff full-time after graduate school from 1975 to 1988. Back then, it was a staff of just 3 people and 5 students. Chris has been a true friend, an encouragement, and a professional mentor to me for over 38 years. We can probably all identify several people who have had profound influence and impact upon our lives, and Chris has been exactly that to me. We honor Chris for his many contributions to us as athletes, coaches, and professional colleagues, and rightfully so. And I wanted to speak to you tonight briefly to share my personal story about living with multiple sclerosis, and Chris being there for me. And Rita, thank you for standing faithfully with Chris all these years too. To give a brief background, multiple sclerosis, which we can hardly say sometimes, is a debilitating disease which affects many and has neither a known cause nor a cure. It can be confusing, frustrating, misunderstood, and sometimes visible or even invisible to most. It manifests itself as a neurological disorder with the demyelinization of the nerves with symptoms such as numbness, loss of function, loss of vision or mobility, extreme fatigue, muscle spasticity, and more. Just imagine your internet cable full of frayed and scarred optic cables so that signals are confused and interrupted. Messages are not transmitted properly to the brain, from the brain to various parts of the body, so there's a type of disconnect that we feel. Sometimes its symptoms are relapsing and remitting, and sometimes they're progressively degenerative in nature. When symptoms flare up, they're called exacerbations, and it crosses all segments of the population and can affect anyone at any time in their life, and though it usually occurs in the early to middle years. To look at me or someone with MS, you may not even know we have it. While serving here in 1981 on Chris's staff as an assistant athletic trainer, I began experiencing symptoms of numbness and a loss of function in my left arm and hand, which occurred on and off for over the next 4 years. There were very few tools to diagnose during this time and very few treatment options, which were limited to high doses of steroids, the good kind, and doctors saying, we'll just see what happens. In 1985, while at the SEC basketball tournament, my first major exacerbation happened. I quickly began to develop some major symptoms causing a loss of motor control in both arms and a shuffling gait. In a span of 3 days, I was basically numb from the mid-chest down and in all my extremities. Upon returning from the basketball tournament, I entered Shands and received some of the finest medical care thanks to Dr. Indelicato, Dr. Greer, Dr. Bob Watson, Dr. Art Day, and others. And following a number of tests and my history and a newly developed machine called the MRI, yes, I'm that old, was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Depression for me was very real. And I saw my life as headed for a wheelchair and facing fears of the unknown. I was encouraged by the support of many of you, and particularly from Chris. I distinctly remember during my time in the hospital, I was just a little embarrassed for being there in the first place and concerned of what others might think of me, of having this new diagnosis. Fearful of my future, fearful of my ability to work and continue on staff here at the university. Chris came to visit me in the hospital, and we talked for a while, and he simply said, I was going to imitate it, but I really can't. Mackie, don't you worry about anything. We'll just treat this like you have the flu. Somehow that was a comfort to me because it spoke volumes that everything was going to be okay and we'd get through this and life would be fine. I'm sure he had his concerns too, but his focus was on me just to get better. I've been most fortunate that my course has been one of relapsing remitting symptoms, and I benefit from regular medication and lifestyle changes. MS affects not only the person with MS, but the families and the caregivers as well. I'm very grateful to my wife, Debbie, who has been on this journey with me, providing me great love and support through these many years. I'm just one of many thousands who are affected by this disease and feel very blessed and grateful to God's grace and medical breakthroughs which have reduced the severity and the frequency of my exacerbations. Today, great progress has been made through extensive research and the development of a number of medications to manage the symptoms and the course of the illness. Your support here tonight is invaluable and is contributing to provide services to those who suffer with this disease and to promote further scientific research into its cause and its cure. So thank you for the opportunity to share this time with you and for the contributions that each of you have made here tonight to help end the devastating effects of multiple sclerosis, as well as support those who live with the disease as our champions each day. Tonight we come together from far and near to honor one of our own. We've all felt his touch, his compassion, and his love in times of uncertainty and trials, whether injury, illness, or a loss experienced on the playing field of competition or in life, or just needing someone to hear us out. Chris has shown to each of us a spirit of kindness and compassion, and for that we are most grateful. I count Chris, as many of you do, as a dear friend and most worthy of this award. Thank you, Chris, and congratulations to you on this award tonight, receiving the MS Society's highest award. Thank you very much, and I'd like to introduce Marty Hugel at this time, who's going to introduce a tribute video to Chris.
When I was originally asked to assist in putting this program together, I have to say that it was a real privilege for me to do this. It has not been work, but it's been a blast. It's been a lot of fun contacting with many of you folks over the past few months, starting back with a former player of barbecue that I saw a lot of you at and talking about the event. It's I don't know about you all, but I don't know 350 people, let alone that many people that would show up on anything on my behalf. So I think that speaks a lot for Chris, as we know. I've been working with Chris for 30 years. Been a few times when I've thought maybe it's enough's enough, particularly when I start seeing the children of previous athletes that I had worked with. When I've given it some thought that maybe my time is done, one of the things that right away pops forward to me is that I wouldn't be able to have this continued relationship with Chris in particular and many of you others, and it prevents me from doing that. So these years have been a lot of fun for me, and helping to put this whole thing together has been certainly not a job. We have very few real friends in life. I think most of you know that. And Chris, as Jim has said, and some of the others will say, is a real friend to me. Professionally, when I go different places in the areas of sports medicine, when I mention that I work with Chris Patrick, immediately the folks that I see, their demeanor changes like, whoa, you're working with a legend. And I've never forgotten that and always appreciate that. I haven't always agreed with everything that Chris has done. There have been times when I thought, I think that's right. Maybe that's not what we ought to be doing. But I can tell you that I know that any decision that was ever made was first and foremost made in the best interest of the student athlete here at the University of Florida and not ever on his own behalf. There's a video that's coming up that I may have mentioned that in. I don't know, Dave, if it made the cut, but I just wanted to say that if it didn't. Our video that we're going to see now, I'd like to thank Dave Houts, who's our video coordinator here at the university for a number of sports. There's been a lot of work that he's put in this, spent a lot of months putting the script together and getting all the videos. You all are going to see an edited version of 10, 12 minutes maybe, I think it is, Dave, and I think there's probably 30 or 40 minutes of actual video and tributes that have come in that we couldn't put in the entire video. Also, I want to thank Jeff Chenery for his work on behalf of setting up the filming tonight, the video tonight, and all the work he's done in preparing this room. So without any further, Dave, if you're ready with the video, let it roll.
What is the measure of a champion? For Chris Patrick, it can be measured in many ways: years of service, championships captured, students mentored, and careers enhanced, the treatment and rehabilitation of athletes, as well as the advancement of the athletic training profession. Join us this evening at the 2010 Dinner of Champions as we salute Chris Patrick and a career that spanned 40 years of service to the athletes, coaches, staff, and students of the University of Florida. If you watched a Gator athletic event and saw a student athlete injured, chances are Chris or one of his athletic trainers were first on the scene. It's been that way at the University of Florida since 1970, when newly hired football coach Doug Dickey brought CP to Gainesville to head the Gator athletic training facility.
He knew the level of competition that we were involved in, and he was highly recommended by a number of the people that I had been associated with at the University of Tennessee. So as a result, we interviewed Chris, and he was hired.
Working to prevent, treat, and rehabilitate athletic injuries, Chris and his staff have manned the training rooms and sidelines of nearly 500 football games, over 2,000 basketball games, and more than 2,500 baseball games, as well as 19 other men's and women's sports. Starting with 7 people in 1970, supporting 8 varsity sports, Chris Patrick's staff has grown and become more specialized over the past 4 decades.
Chris Patrick, even then, was somewhat of a legend in the athletic training world. Probably the single most important observation I've made about Chris Patrick is that he's always looking for better ways to do things. He's always open-minded to different things that are going to make the program better, and he challenges you, which makes the people around him, including myself, a much better professional.
The staff currently numbers over 30 people, including athletic trainers, doctors, specialists, physical therapists, nutritionists, and graduate assistants and interns that currently provide support for 22 Gator collegiate programs. The 1970s brought a decade of growth and advancement for the Florida Gators, as well as to the profession of athletic training. The arrival of Title IX, African American athletes, weight training, artificial surfaces, larger staffs and facilities were all new challenges faced by CP and his staff. In 1971, the Gator Athletic Training Room moved from the old Florida gym to a new facility in Yon Hall. The 1970s brought optimism and opportunity, and in 1974, Chris and the 8-3 Gator football team were rewarded with a trip to New Orleans to play Nebraska in the Sugar Bowl.
Going to the Sugar Bowl was a big deal, and playing Nebraska was really a landmark game. And you know, if I had to assess why Chris was so significant in that game, obviously when you play in a bowl game at the end of the season, he's got to patch people up and get that team healthy and get everybody ready to play. And as always, he worked so hard. One of the things you knew about Chris Patrick the day you met him is he was so dedicated to his job. That was evident. He was passionate about his work. He worked himself. His hours were insane. And his respect was so important to me and other people. If Chris Patrick thought you were tough, that meant a lot. And so that was very, very important to me to earn Chris Patrick's respect.
As the decade of the 70s wound down, new ideas and coaches arrived at the University of Florida with an increased emphasis on facility enhancement and expansion. The next year, a new training facility and weight room was built in the South End Zone complex, advancing the athletic training staff's ability to make Gator athletes stronger and keep them healthier. Over the last 30 years, Chris has designed and staffed many new athletic training facilities, including the O'Connell Center, the Limron Center, the Carr Swimming Complex, the Ring Tennis Complex, the Presley Softball Complex, Men's and Women's Basketball Complex, the Alfred A. McKeithen Stadium at Perry Field Baseball Complex, and in 2009, the new Donald R. Disney Stadium at the Florida Lacrosse Facility.
And CP has been very instrumental in the design and staffing of all the athletic training rooms in those buildings since. We're up to now, we have 4 main athletic training rooms, we have 4 satellite athletic training rooms, all equipped with either staff athletic trainers or graduate assistants. And all of our teams now are covered with certified athletic trainers, and that wasn't the case before, but with CP's expertise and what he's pushed our profession in this department, this program, we were able to do that.
These facilities and the training staff has significantly contributed to the overall success of the University of Florida athletic programs, including producing 155 SEC titles as well as 24 national championships. During these years, CP worked, studied, and honed his skills as an athletic trainer, teacher, mentor, and innovator. His expertise and education were recognized on a national level in 1989. When he was inducted into the National Athletic Trainers Association Hall of Fame. Patrick has also served as chairperson of the Southeastern Conference's Sports Medicine Committee. He was also named the Collegiate Trainer of the Year in 1982. After joining the National Athletic Trainers Association in 1964, Patrick served on a committee that authored the first national certification test for athletic trainers. He has also authored many professional articles and served on numerous advisory boards during his career.
CP was a great influence here and afterwards. He just really modeled what I wanted to do in the profession, stay in the college ranks, but then also be very active in the profession. He was on the board of directors for the NATA. He's Hall of Fame for the NATA, Hall of Fame for the district. And it was definitely the kind of career I think most athletic trainers would dream of having.
In 1988, Patrick was promoted to Assistant Athletic Director for Athletic Training by the University of Florida Athletic Association. In 1994, he was inducted into the University of Florida Athletic Hall of Fame, and in 1995, into the first ever Athletic Trainers Association of Florida Hall of Fame. Although being honored by the NATA and the ATAF were quite a thrill, being selected by his peers, Patrick says it's the University of Florida honor that provided him the greatest thrill because the selection was made by UF's former student athletes, ones he's cared for so many years. Championships are something we all strive for. During the 70s and 80s, Chris and his staff built, expanded, and developed facilities and staff. And now it is time to win some championships on the field. During the decade of the 90s, Chris got his wish, winning numerous SEC championships and 1996 national championship in football.
When I was hired at the University of Florida in 1990, I was fortunate enough to have Chris Patrick as the head trainer. He'd been there at least about 20 years, I think, prior to that. I think he came with Coach Dickey in about 1970, 69, 70. So I was lucky to get one of the best trainers in college football. And I've learned over the years to always try to show all your players respect, especially when it comes to injuries.
Fast forward to the new millennium, a new decade for Chris, new facilities, new and improved methods and training rooms, along with new coaches and athletes, and 22 collegiate sports competing and winning SEC and national championships, 2 in football and 2 in men's basketball, plus 2 Heisman Trophy winners. CP has seen his beloved Gators reach the pinnacle of collegiate success. The Florida Gators are now a nationally recognized brand. The Gator Nation, known and respected around the country.
CP is obviously one of my favorite people. In 2005, when our staff was hired, here comes a bunch of coaches from Utah, from Michigan, from up north, we had Charlie Strong, who was part of our staff, who understood Florida. I really didn't understand Florida. And CP is a guy that I befriended right away, and actually had him talk to our recruits, had him talk to our staff. I leaned on him quite heavily as far as the passion and knowledge he had of this great place. And so I'm forever indebted to CP. He had no reason to welcome me the way he did to Florida football, but he did. and that's just the kind of person he is. He's given his life, his passion, his heart to the University of Florida, and in our small way, we like to think that the last 5 years our staff has helped him give it back to him because he deserves that. We love CP, he's part of Gator family forever, and on behalf of our coaching staff, I want to tell him thanks for what he did for us when we first got here in 2005.
In 2007, Chris was inducted as a first ever member in the Southeast Athletic Training Association Hall of Fame, and his staff was presented with the SEC Athletic Training Association Staff of the Year. Chris would be the first to tell you that his success would not have been possible without the love and support of his wife Rita and his children Susan and John.
Chris had the integrity, the character, and the desire to be what he became. And they had a lot of people that helped Chris through the years. He didn't achieve it on his own, but I don't believe in all these years I've ever heard Chris come home and complain about the hours, about the hard work. He just got up and he did it, and he did what he chose to do, and he stuck with it all these years. He's never wavered. He never said he wished he had a different profession. So I'm glad that if he's going to have these many hours and along the way that he enjoyed doing what he was doing, and he indeed has enjoyed it.
For 40 years, Chris Patrick has helped build the foundation for the great success that the Gators enjoy today. His tireless work in athletic training, his ability to mentor and teach, and his dedication to this great institution will certainly stand the test of time.
Every single hire, every single person that's developed there's sort of CP's work. It's his handiwork. He has mentored and really cared about all of the people that have come through the athletic training room, and not just the student athletes, but really that staff. And I would say every single one of them owes their careers and really feels like he has enhanced what they do. So he has meant a lot to this program. He has worked with student athletes on their health and their recovery, but he continues to contribute in a lot of ways every single day with the folks on that staff. And I think that as a whole, the UF program really benefits from his continuing contributions.
So tonight, at the 2010 Dinner of Champions, it is time to honor our own Chris Patrick, teacher, mentor, innovator, athletic trainer, Hall of Famer, Florida Gator. Congratulations, CP.
On behalf of our basketball family and of the Gators, congratulations on all your service and all you've done for the University of Florida.
I really, again, appreciate you letting us do this event in your honor. You're a very humble person, and I know maybe in some ways this was hard for you to do, but I think it's long overdue, and as reflected by the many, many people, the many emails, many phone calls you've received, that you are to be honored, and it's just a great opportunity and great privilege to do this and help other people that are affected by multiple sclerosis, and I appreciate that very much.
Coach Patrick, congratulations on being honored tonight after 40 years of service for getting the Silver Hope Award.
Congratulations, Chris. Thanks, God bless, and go Gators.
You truly are a Gator great. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
On behalf of the Baltimore Orioles athletic training staff, we'd like to congratulate you on 40 years of service to the UAA and to the profession of athletic training.
Chris, hey, this is Richie Bancells, head athletic trainer with the Baltimore Orioles and the president of the Professional Baseball Athletic Training Society. Saying congratulations to you on 40 great years of service to the UAA at the University of Florida.
Hi, Chris. I just want to congratulate you on your 40 years of service. Guy, great job, and congratulations. We love you.
CP, I just want to say congratulations. You're a great mentor, and above all, a great friend. You've done a lot for me, and it's obvious what you've done for many athletes and athletic trainers that have come through Florida. Congratulations, you guys.
Hey CP, just wanted to say congratulations on being here for 40 years. You mean definitely a lot to me, and I know you believe this university. So congratulations, good luck, and we love you.
Congratulations, CP, 40 years. What a great, great career.
Chris Patrick, if there's one thing that I know for sure over all the years that we've been together, whatever decision you've made has always been in the best interest of the athletes here at the University of Florida. I hope you enjoy tonight, because tomorrow it's all back to the same thing. Have fun.
Congratulations, CP, on 40 years. Have fun.
Hello, Chris. Sorry we couldn't be there tonight, but we couldn't let this event go unnoticed. Just wanted to thank you for everything you've done for us in the past.
Chris Patrick, congratulations on 40 years at the University of Florida. You are one of the best trainers, if not the best, in college football. I appreciated our 12 years together and always look forward to seeing you as often as I can. See ya.
Congratulations, my boy CP, for 40 years of service to the Florida Gators.
Congratulations, CP, as the recipient of this prestigious award. You certainly deserve it.
Hey, Dad. Congratulations on 40 years. I love you, and I just hope you have a great, great night.
Hi, Dad. We just wanted to wish you a happy 40 years at the University of Florida and let you know that I love you and am so proud of you for the hard work that you do and all your long hours, but certainly appreciate how much you enjoy your job. It's certainly where I learned that trait, and just want to let you know I love you. Thank you.
Hey, Dandy. I just want to wish you a good 40 years at the University of Florida. And thank you for letting me come over to the training room a lot of times and to sit on the sidelines at the orange and blue game.
Chris, I remember you coming here as a young whippersnapper in 1970, and 40 years have flown by. I don't know where the time's gone, but they've flown by. And what a great career you have had. Honors you've won, so well deserved. You've just been a great Gator, a great trainer, and a nationally recognized figure in your profession. So congratulations for all you've done for the Gators and the Multiple Sclerosis Society.
CP, you are a champion. I've known you for a long, long time. You're an old man, I'm an old man. And I've had a chance to work with you for 30 plus years, and it's been an honor every step of the way. You know, we can talk about what a type of trainer you are, a Hall of Fame trainer, and all the impact you've had on people's lives. You know, but you know what you stand for most for me is your loyalty. You are a loyal, loyal guy. And it's been my pleasure to work with you. And again, I'm so happy that you've been selected to receive this award, because nobody deserves it more. Nobody deserves it more, because you are a good, good guy. And the University of Florida's been blessed to have you around here for so many years. So, and no, we're not trying to get rid of you. I hope you and I work together for many, many years to go. It's just you and I don't have many to go, Chris. Look at me, look at you. Okay? Hey, but I'm proud of you. Proud you're a Gator. Proud you're my friend. Congratulations.
Not time yet.
Well, what a great video, what a great tribute. We may as well do last rites, Chris. It was really great. Thanks to Marty, thanks to David for putting all that together. That was a lot of work, and I'd like to see the part that didn't make the edit, too. You know, everyone that knows Chris Patrick knows what a competitor he is. Rumor has it that on game days, some of Chris's closest friends that are trainers that are on the other sideline don't always get a warm, fuzzy welcome that day. My first assistant with the Falcons was a guy named Fred Schwacke. And we were in training camp one year, and Chris and Bobby Barton came up to visit with us, and I only had Freddie for 6 months, and Bobby was leaving Chris to go to Kentucky, and Chris was looking for a full-time guy and offered the job to Freddie. And Freddie came up here and down here and worked with Chris for a year. Well, Van Brocklin decided we could not get enough money to hire him back full-time in Atlanta, and so we did the next year. And I could hardly wait for Fred to get back, because I wanted Fred to tell me the true skinny of what Chris Patrick was like. I knew he had a bag of tricks I didn't know, and maybe Freddie stole some of them, and it would help us be a better set of trainers in Atlanta. So I was asking him point blank, I said, okay, pal, tell me, what's the deal? What was the most important thing you learned from Chris Patrick? He looked me in the eye as serious as a heart attack, and he said, well, I'll tell you one damn thing. First thing I learned was you don't stand next to Chris Patrick on game day. And I said, why? He said, well, you know how excited he gets. And if anything happened really big, good, or really bad, big, bad, he just starts around and starts beating on the guy next to him. The first game, he beat the shit out of me. I learned to sit on the other side, end of the bench, stand on the other end of the bench the rest of my career. That's the most important thing I learned from Chris Patrick. We're going to have some testimonials now from other people that have been with Chris Patrick. And our first guy is going to be someone that was in the trenches with Chris also. And before I forget, Chris, this is a letter from the same Fred Schwacke that he wanted you to have tonight to congratulate you on your night. Dr. Bobby Barton was the first athletic trainer ever inducted into the Ohio Valley Conference Hall of Fame. Dr. Barton was widely recognized, or is widely recognized as a pioneer and a leader in sports medicine and athletic training. He was Eastern Kentucky University's head athletic trainer from 1976 until 2003 when he retired. Bobby said he thought he was the only trainer from the state of Kentucky ever to retire. The rest of them either quit or got fired. Barton previously served as an athletic trainer at the University of Kentucky when he actually worked around Adolph Rupp in his day, and also worked with Chris here as Chris's first full-time assistant trainer, and worked at Florida International University. I know Dr. Barton won't be brief, but he'll be entertaining. And if he'll come forward now and tell us what it was like to be in the trenches with one Chris Patrick, CP, I think we're all going to enjoy this. Thank you.
Thank you, President Ray. It is indeed an honor to be here tonight to speak for all of those many student athletic trainers, graduate assistant athletic trainers, assistant athletic trainers, friends, colleagues of Christopher Patrick. We had a little meeting this morning. It just would blow your mind at how impressive the speakers and the participants were. I was just overwhelmed by the number of people that came out that had truly great careers in this great world of sports medicine and athletic training. If you just listen to the Reverend Calhoun and Jim Mackey, you could see that we all have a close, tight appreciation for the soft side of Chris Patrick. I finally got one, but it took me a long time to see that soft side. At another place in time, I was the holdover when Chris Patrick came to town. No one had really knew much about him at the time. I had some seniority at that place, so I thought I'd be the one that softened him up. I'd tell him how he did things around here. I had a long list. I went to see him. Told him, here's the things you need to do to be successful at this school. I got about halfway through my list. Said, Brother Burton, how many games have y'all been winning around here? I said, 5. Said, when in the hell did you all win 5? I said, well, 2 years ago we won 3. Last year we won 2. He said, well, you finish your list, but I'll just tell you something, son. If you're only averaging 2 wins around here, I don't give a damn how you've been doing things. That was my first week. I had a wonderful experience with him. Compared to the Reverend and Mr. Mackey, I'd have to say I'm more like the prodigal son. I've been in and out of his doghouse, in and out of his favor, probably more than anybody. But it's always ended on a positive note. I can remember well, his love was and remains football. And I knew I was in the doghouse, and I was waiting real anxiously. How can I get out of this doghouse? One day he said, does anyone like track? I said, yeah, I love track. And he gleamed. I saw a sparkle in his eye that I wouldn't see again until Susan came along. Then he said, by any chance you like field too? I said, yeah, I do. Our relationship really was better than it was that day. So even though I was not quite ready, I became the host trainer for the University Invitational Track Meet for the next 3 years. He would continue to mentor me through both undergraduate school and graduate school. There's been a few comments already made on what a joyous, fun occasion it is to spend game day with Chris Patrick. There's only one thing better. Go to his stadium and beat him. Yeah, I did it once. 40 years ago, it still feels good. I followed his game plan all the way, though. I knew he'd have the heat up in the locker room, about 150. I knew he'd be out of ice at halftime, so I went prepared. Only reason I had the nerve to tell that story, he won't deny it. The only reason because you know how he likes to sandbag. No matter who he's playing on Monday, oh, hell, we're so beat up, I'm not sure we can get a team there or not. Same old bag. So I followed his tricks. I followed in his footstep. Beat him pretty good, as I recall. That was a moment I thought, uh-oh, I may have really cooked my goose now. But sure enough, I got another invitation to work another track meet at his institution, which I did. And before I know it, I had the invitation to come to Gainesville, Florida. The SEC shook one day. The SEC Coach of the Year was coming to Gainesville. And Coach Dickey, it's just so wonderful that you're here tonight. It's wonderful to have you involved in this group. But anyway, as has already been mentioned, Coach Dickey would hire Chris Patrick. Next thing I know, I'm up at the interchange of I-10 and I-75 looking for the Bowl School. That was where the Gator Camp was going to be. And that was my first assignment. And then I had a wonderful, wonderful time at Gainesville, Florida. No doubt about it. We had a lot of great athletes. Several of them are here tonight. I never forget one night Gary Briggs called. Gary Briggs, in case you know it, was a student athletic trainer here at that time. He's in the NBA playoffs tonight. He called Mr. Patrick earlier today. But Mr. Briggs said, Bobby, you mind coming and talk to some of our older players? They want to know what it takes to get along with this guy, Patrick. I said, well, I'll come talk to him, but I sure don't know the answer to that. Jack Youngblood was there. I remember that for some reason. Jack Burns was there. I think Fred Abbott was there, if I'm not mistaken. And Gary said, Bobby, they just hadn't quite figured this guy out. Would you mind telling them how to get along with Chris Patrick? I said, I'm the wrong guy to tell you how to get along with him, but I'm the right guy to tell you how to get in his doghouse. So that led to many, many interesting conversations around Yon Hall about this new guy who at Kentucky was called Coach Patrick, and at Gainesville he became Chris. I could talk from now to the end of time about that year because it was a transition year. We were still in the old Florida Gym training room. The Yon Hall building was being built. But we had a very good football team, had a wonderful group of freshmen come in, Coach Dickey's first recruiting class, I guess, and it was a wonderful time. Won't make you listen to the story again, but it's no secret that like Reverend Calhoun, Jim, I had a very emotional year. An unbelievable situation occurred to me. Not as drastic as Jim, I don't mean to say that. But like them, I got to saw the soft side of Chris Patrick that most people don't ever get to see. I think about this a lot. I wish there was some way that you all could see that soft side of Chris Patrick that I saw back in 1971. No question, it was the biggest challenge I had in my life. The people that helped me overcome it are in this room tonight, and I'll always remember that. But Mr. Patrick and I would continue to be very close friends. We've had a wonderful relationship through the years. I'm the very, very proud godfather, and my wife's the godmother of his two wonderful children. And so we have shared many, many things together. And I think it's 7 national championships. I get to go to his most of the time, and he comes to mine when he has a chance. So it's been wonderful. I've thought a lot about the best thing to say. I stumbled into this researching fairly recently. Dr. Charles Allen, another famous Methodist minister from the Houston area. Sure you know him, Reverend. Dr. Allen spoke a great deal on the subject, brief encounters of the lasting kind. And he went on to say in many graduation speeches and motivation speeches, doesn't really matter how long you know somebody, it's the impact they have on you. And he goes into great detail that some of the shortest interviews you'll ever have with somebody can change your life forever. He told of the subject. He was called to what was now Johnson Space Center. That was in Clear Creek, Texas, and Goose Creek, Texas, where the original astronauts were about to pack up to head to Cape Canaveral. He had a moment of prayer with all the families. He noticed that the same guy kept coming up. Each astronaut's family mentioned one guy that he didn't know who it was. They got to that last astronaut and said, "You got to tell me, who is this guy? I've been spending the last 2 evenings with the 4 people that are going to be the most famous people on Earth come next week." Now, who was he? That last astronaut said, "Well, I'll tell you. He was our flight instructor. And I'll tell you one thing about him. If it weren't for him, the 4 of us would not be going to the moon next week." Dr. Allen was floored. He said, "Well, tell me, explain the situation to me." So I'll tell you, this one individual stayed in the background, sought no attention. He gave us the courage and the confidence to reach heights that we never dreamed possible, and at the same time, he gave us the wisdom to be prepared for catastrophic tragedy. Dr. Allen searched a number of years to try to find that flight instructor. He couldn't find him. It was disappointing that he couldn't because he wanted to interview him. However, he said it affected him even though he hadn't met him. He used it in the rest of his sermons in Texas, and I'm sure you have heard that sermon. Well, those of us here tonight, we don't have to look for where we got our courage, our confidence, and our wisdom. We all got it from the guy sitting to my left. So to the Multiple Sclerosis Society, for the Gator Nation, from all of us, Chris, that have ever been here or anywhere else under your tutelage, we say thank you.
They've been through some wars together, I promise you. All clubs in the National Football League hire summer help from colleges that are student trainers, graduate assistants, and so forth to come in and help carry the load when we have so much more work to do for 6 weeks, and then we don't have that much work for another. All of us have taken student trainers from all over the country, from different programs, and have enjoyed what we've learned and what we've been able to exchange ideas. All of us in the National Football League that worked summer help could hardly wait to get somebody from Chris Patrick. We knew if they'd work could please Chris, and Chris would speak for them, that they were battle trained. They knew how to do the job, and not only that, they knew when to do the job. They wouldn't just sit around and wait for you to come tell them what they needed to do. With that, we've talked about Fred Schwalke. We've heard from Dr. Barton. I'd like everybody in the room that ever worked as a student or with Chris Patrick over the years to please stand up and be recognized, because it's going to be a bunch of people, I think. Would you all stand up and let us? That's just a few of the people that could make it tonight. Well, we've heard from people that worked in the trenches with Chris. Now we're going to hear from someone that actually worked with Chris as a mentor and as his boss and as a man that he dealt with for every day as football coach here at the university. Coach Doug Dickey grew up in Gainesville, and he played quarterback for the Florida Gators in the early 50s. He took the Gators to their first ever official bowl game. He's probably best known for being the former head football coach at both the University of Tennessee, then coming to the University of Florida. After that, he went back to Tennessee as the athletic director. After he retired, he was elected to the College Football Hall of Fame as a coach in 2003. But tonight, probably his most famous achievement is he hired CP. Please come forward and tell us about that.
Thank you. If Gator doctor's done a better job on my knees, I'd have made that big step down at the end. But nice to be back here and to see so many people and so many friends this evening. I think we owe a lot to the Multiple Sclerosis Society of North Florida for bringing us together. The Gators will get together over lots of things, and there's a lot of them here tonight I haven't seen in a long time, and I know it's a pleasure for all of them to be together and to have a chance to share in some good moments. I think that I had a lot of decisions to make here at the University of Florida as a head football coach, but I made a few decisions here that before I became the head football coach that were older than your 40 years. The first one is 60 years ago. I got off a grounds department truck and decided to go out for football at the University of Florida in 1950. And that was a good decision. It brought me down a long, long path of a lot of athletic endeavors of one kind or another, a lot of relationships, and that was, I think, one of my better decisions I ever made. The second one I made about 3 years after that. It was about 57 years ago. There was a girl I had a class, 3 different classes with that semester. And at the end of that second semester, I asked her to be my wife. And so she's here tonight, 57 years ago. And both of those events occurred about 100 yards from here. So the nostalgia of all of it is unbelievable to me tonight to be here, to go back 60 years or 57 years, and to think about 40 years. I think about a lot of people have been here. Florida is one of those places you stay a long time if they want you. If they don't want you, you don't stay here a long time. But it seems to be good for a lot of folks, and I think about Dave Fuller, or I think about Jim McCaffrey, or I think about P.A. Lee, or I think of all those guys that so many of us knew here, M.B. Chafin, people that it seemed like they were here forever, and still are, a lot of them around. It's a great place, and has just simply gotten better over a period of time. If you came here in 1970, and you're here now in 2010, that's about 40 years of as high of growth in the state of Florida as you can imagine anywhere in America. The University of Florida has done an incredible job of building itself into the #1 public university in the South, respected across the nation for what it has become as a university. The sports program has become, without a doubt, the #1 competitor across the Southeast, and it's all due to the terrific growth that we've had and the terrific management that's occurred within that growth here at the University of Florida by the leadership that has been on this campus through that time. It was 1970 we got here, and they said the training position was open. And we needed to come up with a trainer, and I called Mickey O'Brien, University of Tennessee, and asked Mickey, where were some people we needed to talk to, and he just gave me one name. Said it was Chris Patrick. I had known of Chris. He'd been to the University of Tennessee at one time, been in Mississippi State and Kentucky, and so we brought Chris down. Now, Chris, the last trainer I hired at the University of Tennessee, had a master's degree in physical therapy from Duke. I don't think you'd have qualified in 1970 to have done that. But Chris had all of the background of had been around. I said, if you've been in Mississippi State and Kentucky, you done died, gone to heaven to come to the University of Florida at that time. So Chris Patrick came, and here we are, 40 years later. I think I'm here tonight representing coaches and administrators that work with trainers. Trainers are a calling, a little like the preacher back here. It's definitely a calling. When you look at people, you look at Mickey O'Brien at the University of Tennessee, he was there, 45, 50 years. Bill Farrell at Arkansas, I must have been there 35, 40 years. All the people I've known in the profession, that's all they ever did, was be a trainer, and of course you're assistant athletic director, and the only reason you're that, they can't get you more than 3% raise unless they give you another title of some sort on your name out there. But that's good to have those things. It comes along at the right time, doesn't it? So he's the head trainer, and they're there forever. The man here with the Texas A&M and the Falcons and all the people, that's all they do, and it's a calling, and they have a deep affection for the players. If you're a coach, you remember the trainer turns on the lights in the morning, and he turns off the lights at night. And when you come to work for two-a-day practice at 6:30 or 7 in the morning, you got to have the player list ready up there of who can practice and who can't as you get ready to plan. And the trainer got that ready somewhere late in the night for you or earlier in the morning than you got there. Now, Chris, there's a lot of players out here that you did something with. And the main reason they're here to honor you tonight is you're the guy that said they didn't have to go to practice that day. I mean, I'm looking at Scott Hutchison out there. Where is Scott right there? I mean, we tried our darndest to get him out there regularly, you know. And you have a lot of friends here who you did a lot of wonderful things for over the years, but that was the greatest decision you ever made when they didn't have to go out there that day. But it was a great calling, and the trainer you have to trust. And the greatest trust I think you have in a trainer is when he knows it's not his decision anymore, it's up to the doctor. And he turns it over to the doctor, and he finds the doctors. And I can remember all the times that Chris said, we've turned this over, we're going to call in this specialist or that specialist, and we're going to have the best care we can have for our players. And so Chris Patrick always knew where to draw that line and when to have the doctors come in and do the right thing that they did, or whether we're going to surgery, we can't practice, and everything's fine or it isn't fine, and that's where we made the decision. So, Chris, congratulations to you for being among those who have made the 40 years here at the University of Florida, from all of us as coaches who you shared that time with, you helped us, you guided us, you helped in the conditioning programs. We got here in 1970, nobody was lifting weights to speak of, but we got into the weightlifting business. We got into the different kind of conditioning programs. You got into Gatorade and all that sort of stuff. We were sucking a towel when I played here just to get some water in your mouth out there somewhere. So now we got into all kinds of things that made sense about how you played the game. So I know that Chris has made decisions and watched it grow over the years. 4 training rooms, 4 satellite training rooms. Wonderful the way they treat the players and athletes today. So congratulations to you and Rita for the wonderful job you've done here and for your contribution to the Multiple Sclerosis Society. I know you're getting an award tonight, and volunteerism is what makes our country one of the great in the world. It separates us from so many other countries around the world, people who find time to be part of something that's a whole lot bigger than they are. And it's that volunteer spirit that keeps us going. So congratulations to you for your terrific career here.
Well, hearing this all so far tonight kind of makes you think Chris Patrick was born here, but he wasn't. He's been in Florida for a long, long time, but let's forget that he paid his dues before arriving at the Promised Land here many years ago. Chris started out as a student trainer at the University of Tennessee working for Mickey O'Brien when General Neyland was still coaching there. He went to Eastern Kentucky, to Furman University, to Florida State, to Mississippi State, to Kentucky. He made a few stops at those first years. While he's been here 40 years, let's don't forget that Chris has done this as a profession for over 50 years. We think he's about got it down. That's quite an accomplishment. Now, we've heard from the trainers. We've heard from the coach. Let's get down to the one that it matters most to. We're going to hear from a player. Scott Brantley played here. Let me find my notes, so I don't know where I am. Okay, he's from South Carolina, and I don't know how he got here, except he probably wanted to play for Chris. He played for Coach Dickey's and Coach Charlie Pell's Florida Gators in the late 70s. After college, he played linebacker for the Tampa Bay Bucks for 8 seasons. Jay Shoup, who's the trainer now at Georgia Tech, I was talking to him about Scott, and he said that he always loved Scott, that Scott was a good friend of the trainer. But he said, unfortunately, he gauged all of us by Chris Patrick being the gold standard. And if we didn't measure up to what Chris Patrick did, he didn't think we were that good a trainer. So anyway, Scott now has worked in broadcasting for the Florida Gators, for the Tampa Bay Bucks, and boy, was he a great player. He now hosts a daily radio show on WHBO in Tampa every weekday afternoon. Please, Scott, tell us how it's like to be on the receiving end of Chris's kind care.
Well, it's great to be here amongst friends, family and friends, and that's exactly what this is all about. I can't believe the assemblance. I know Chris can't believe the assemblance of players and ex-players, teammates that I played with that came before me. You know, I see Fred Abbott. I think of watching him, play. Ralph Ortega, Glenn Cameron. Those are the guys that came before me. Sammy Green's not here. But those are those guys that the reason I became a Florida Gator, and we all have our own special people that came before us. But if you think about it, back to high school, Ocala Forest High School, we didn't have a athletic trainer. I don't know many of us that had an athletic trainer in high school. You had a team doctor at Ocala Forest High School. I'll never forget Dr. Lilly, and he's still alive and living in Ocala. Great, one of my best friends. But when I got to Florida, I met Chris Patrick, as we all did, and he kind of became that guy that not only did you have to go see, but you wanted to go see. He was that kind of guy, and to this day, Chris remains one of my best friends, and I would say that sincerely, not because he's being honored tonight, but because that's just something that the consistency of Chris Patrick on a day in, day out basis was remarkable and still is to this day. He's an emotional guy. I hate standing up here because I'll get choked up too, but you're honoring the right guy. And multiple sclerosis is a great foundation. I've seen a lot of great things done. I've seen Mackey, seeing. We called him Reverend Mackey back in the day, but it's family. This is a Gator nation. This is a Gator family. We're all part of it. We're that small building block. Urban was just here with his son, and I know he had to step out, but man, look at what he adopted, and we're a part of that. And Chris Patrick's a part of that with the whole trainer foundation going back many, many years. I mean, there's no better person in the world. I'm up here representing the players, and I feel very honored on y'all's behalf, and I say it with much, love in my heart. I mean, this man, he's not going anywhere. I mean, that's what we need to understand. I got my glasses. I ain't even put them on yet. I was there visiting the Gaffney table early, and they all got their glasses too. But I don't need my glasses when it comes, and neither of us do when it comes to honoring a great man like Chris Patrick. Thank you, Chris, from all the players that have come through here. I feel honored to represent those.
With all you former players, please stand up. You University of Florida players that are here tonight. Let's see. Down here, Chris.
This is just a wonderful evening. The Hope Award is the National Multiple Sclerosis Society's highest honor, celebrating leadership in philanthropy, advocacy, and volunteerism. It has been awarded to many greats in the field of sports, including Howard Cosell, Muhammad Ali, Bear Bryant, Billie Jean King, Wilt Chamberlain. To celebrate the concept of hope, Tiffany Jewelers has designed this unique award for the society, and it's my distinct honor to present this to my friend and my mentor, Chris Patrick.
Thank you.
the most part, I didn't recognize that guy that y'all were talking about tonight. But some of you did the same thing tonight that you've done in the past. You got me in trouble with the coach again. I came here, I only got $1. That was my salary the first year. But what Coach Dick and them didn't know, I would have come for 50 cents. I'd have done anything to get out of Kentucky at that point. He got me cheap and could have done cheaper. I probably would have blown the whole thing and would have never gotten here if I hadn't gotten a tip one Saturday morning. I had been to the training room, and I was Tennessee and Kentucky were going to play basketball that afternoon, or somebody was playing. And anyway, going from the training room home, the hotel where Tennessee's basketball team was en route to my house, so I stopped by the hotel and had a cup of coffee with the trainer and one thing and another, and he said, has Doug called you? And I said, Doug who? And he said, Doug Dickey. He said, I said, what's he going to call me about? He said, well, he's looking for a trainer at Tennessee. So I didn't think much about it at the time. Rita and I I pick her up and we go to the basketball game, and I come back home. Just as I'm walking in the door, the phone rings. And I answer the phone, and voice at the other end said, Chris, this is Doug Dickey. Thank goodness I'd been tipped off, because I'd have damn sure said something that would have blown the whole deal. I remember Coach Dickey, when we were here and getting started, and he was talking about, you know, you and I are coming from a climate a little further north, and we need to be aware more of the heat and the temperature and so forth, and keeping people hydrated and one thing and another. And I thought I'd listened to it, and I thought it had sunk in. And we were out at practice going through all the stuff on a Thursday or Friday just before the first game, and we were in what was Florida Field then, now the Swamp. And I was kicked back. I had life made. I was at the University of Florida. I'd gotten out of where I'd been, and I was here, and I was watching everything going on, and all of a sudden, Coach Dickey broke down, and he starts across the field, and it looked like he had lost it. And he gets over to me, and he says, if somebody comes to you like that, what are you going to do? I didn't know what he was talking about. I'd had it. Give me water. Give me water. So from that day on, that's when hydration and temperature and the heat in Florida sunk in to me, Coach Dickey. Bobby Barton made several comments a while ago about me and my love for track. Well, the person in this room that probably has known me more and longer than anybody in here happens to be my friend Jimmy Carnes. Jimmy and I go back together. Jimmy was the track coach at Furman University in 1963 when I was at another place. So we've gone back. I was asked to tell a lot of stories, but there are too many stories to tell. A lot of people talk about White Shoes Johnson. We've got our own White Shoes Robert Harrell back there. First person in the history of the University of Florida to ever wear white shoes with red and blue stripes on them. Being the great psychologist I am, James Bates over here and Ronnie Battles couldn't get along. They were arguing about stuff in the went on for 3 or 4 days. I'd had it. So my great psychology, I thought that I would just say something to them and then it would be over. I said, well, why don't you two just go ahead and get it on and get to, whoom! 30 minutes later, we finally got those two separated. The Gaffney clan is back there. My introduction to knowing what a minority was or is I went to we were in Jacksonville to play Georgia, and Doug Knotts and I went over to Raines High School to see Raines and forgotten who the other team was play. And things were tight in those days. And Ms. Gaffney was pretty stout. She could come on pretty strong. And I was about the only, Knotts and I were about the only two vanillas in the land of chocolate. And Miss Gaffney got hold of Knotts and I both, and I think they could have had about anything that they ever wanted in there that night. Don broke his wrist and still got a handicap from it. I told him, although he's still a lawyer, the statute of limitations has run out on him now. Well, enough of that. It is indeed a pleasure and an honor and a very humbling experience to be recognized here tonight and to have my name attached to this event. And I thank the Multiple Sclerosis Society and all you here. Any positive recognition that a person ever receives is due to the people that have been around and the influence and the impact that they've made on one's life as they go through that journey. And I appreciate and thank each and every one of you and the UAA for making me who I am, for coming here tonight and being in support of this great cause, multiple sclerosis. I'm not going to attempt on this stage to thank all the people by name. There are too many. I'd invariably leave somebody out. The people that have worked so diligently on putting this event together. I do want to thank en masse all of you that are here tonight in support of this event and recognition of me and the dollars that you have given for the society, and after all, that is what it's all about. Also, I want to thank all of those that wanted to come tonight and for various reasons couldn't come, and thank them for their support as well. Jim Mackey, I want to recognize as he is the person who had this idea initially for this night. And as we all know, Jim is a person living with MS. Another of our own, Joe Pertale, a former player that many of you remember, is a victim of MS and is pretty much confined to a wheelchair. One of our deceased team physicians, Dr. Dick Shera, had two of his family members to die with multiple sclerosis. So we do need, and I know that there are probably many of you out here that know other people that have suffered the ravages of this disease. So MS needs our help. I appreciate you and your dollars for coming here and supporting that and doing that for MS. For all of you mothers that are out there today, I wish you a happy Mother's Day, and I thank all of you. Good evening.
this about wraps up a wonderful evening honoring Chris Patrick and recognizing his 40 years of service to the Gator Nation. We all have our favorite stories about CP, and hearing these other stories tonight just triggers more that we forgot that we knew. For his family, for Rita, John, Susan, I hope you realize how much he means to us. And all those hours that he was gone from you, he was formulating his time to make us better people. And for that, we thank you for sharing. I know Chris is so proud of his family. We know how proud your family must be of you, Chris. Good night. Don't forget the MS Society with your money and your thoughts. Don't forget Mother's Day in the morning. Be sure to call Mama in the morning. Don't start off the day in the doghouse. Thank you and good night.